We dancing today, huh? Go ahead, brother. I like the music.
Little DJing.
Nice.
All right, DJ.
Cut the music. Cut the music.
Marsha Jews.
Yo, what's up?
Marsha Jews, welcome to the New Life Recovery Show. As you can see,
New Life Recovery.
yeah, Mr. Ven McCormick, he's handling some other business today. He won't be here.
Okay.
We talk about life. We talk about recovery. This is a mental health show. If I think better, I do better.
Mm-hmm. But see, we don't always want to deal with that truth. You know, it can't be us. We don't want to deal with the real issues that are surrounding us for us to deal with some of life's idiosyncrasies hit us, and we're not always ready to deal with it.
Because life is going to show up, whether we like it or not.
Period. And the thing that is really troublesome sometimes is that you really think you have it all together.
Stitches.
Oh, that is from an old show that I had. How come I have that up there? I don't know I thought it just disappeared.
You got to go out and come back in and check.
Okay, well, let me do that. Okay.
Because I know you ain't about promoting something that ain't sending a check this week. All right, so she'll be back in a moment. Yes, I'm from Baltimore, and yes, I like my New York Yankee hats. Let's not go there today, okay? I love New York City too. Is that okay? Mike Randolph, I want you to come on in and give us an update today. I'll give you the link. Ven says that you are the most faithful listener to this show, Mike Randolph. So why don't you come on in and join us today? Good afternoon, Baltimore. Good afternoon, world. Donnie Glover here. This show is all about just putting it out there. If I think better, I do better. I don't know about you, but I've learned in my 58, almost 59 years of living that we have to stay physically in shape, but we also have to stay mentally and psychologically in shape. And that's not always easy. All of us have had COVID to deal with. And certainly COVID has changed the way life is itself. A young person told me that COVID was God's way of sending everybody to their room. Something to think about. A young person told me that. Yes, you can learn from young people. We can learn a lot from young people. I was just saying, Marsha, that a young person told me that COVID was like God's way of sending the world to its room. Go to your room.
And sit down. And I don't think that we, particularly people of color, we don't take kindly to people dealing with us that there's a intellectual issue or there is something that is wrong with us mentally, that we can't function from a mental standpoint. And too often there are those of us who have mental illness that we don't want to acknowledge it and have it taken care of. And how do we do that and still not only remain sane, but keep the peace around you? Because some of the people that surround you aren't always mentally equipped to even deal with you and what you might be going through.
What does it take to be equipped?
being honest
besides
with
a
ourselves.
willingness.
Yeah, being honest with ourselves and acknowledging that we have issues. Particularly, I know a lot of the Black people that I know don't want to deal with mental illness. And it comes out, the problems that they have are sometimes during conversations, they're sometimes happening when you're out somewhere, and it just comes out. Relationships, being in relationships where people are, they have their own problems, you have your own problem, then how do we deal and be able to communicate so that everybody is healthy and whole?
You know, as you're talking, what comes to mind is my daddy's profession. I have many friends in the funeral industry, grew up in the
Mm,
industry. And just as you were talking, some conversations that I've had, been blessed to have over the years, came to mind about losing people and how we manage the stress of losing people. We welcome to the show all the way from Tampa, Florida. All right, once you get that camera set, I need you to get your hands up. Hey, Michael Randolph, first of all, take the mask on. We can't smell your breath over here.
I'm out in
Yeah.
the public, man. I'm at a doctor's office, so I keep my mask on.
Well, why you come on if you can't talk?
I can talk.
All right, well, I need you to set that camera still because you're making me dizzy setting it all over the place. Just,
Okay, is that good?
yeah, take your hands off of it.
Got it.
Don't touch it.
Marsha, how you doing?
I'm great. How you doing,
I'm
Michael?
blessed every day.
Yep, every day that we can open our eyes and stand on the floor. What?
Oh
That
yeah.
right there. That right there. And you see all this gray hair, so I'm real grateful.
Well, gray hair means wisdom.
I understand, but it also means longevity.
That's true. True that. True that.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm
Mike, any
grateful.
thoughts? Any thoughts on COVID, the people we've lost,
Mm.
mentally wrapping our minds around it? Any thoughts on that?
You know, there's so much reason for having distress in society today. So much is going on, man. I tell you, I shared with you my experience with depression, and I'm sure other people have had depression as well. The only thing I can say is stay prayed up in order
Yeah.
to get through this, because this too shall pass.
Mhm.
So faith is important.
Yeah, I
COVID,
think faith is everything. Yes,
Yes.
COVID will test your faith.
yes,
Mhm.
definitely, man. I remember when the COVID came, and most of my business was done in person, and I had to remodel my business to use virtual as a means to keep my business going. That wasn't hard because I do nothing but training. So the only thing I had to do is just to go virtual. But a lot of businesses didn't have that luxury. I know a lot of people that went under as a result of that. And I think
Mhm.
mental health suffer also as a result of that.
Damn right, you ain't making no money.
Yep,
Might
that's
have to
real.
move. Look at look at the Key Bridge. On top of COVID, now your primary source of connecting to the rest of the world is
Out.
gone.
Mhm.
Can you imagine what those people were going through? They had a
No.
job one day. I'm not talking about the ones that passed, God bless their soul, but I'm talking about the ones that was left behind
Right.
and was depending on that bridge to get to and from work. They don't even talk about that. Can you imagine what's going on with those folks?
No.
Mhm. And then that means they have to go all the way from where that bridge was. They're basically coming all the way into Baltimore area
Mm.
because they've got to cross that water to hit going into Virginia.
What about the psychological effect of looking at what was that
Mm.
ain't no more?
And
The
the people
psychological
lost.
effect. Yeah.
The people lost out there at work, minding their own business, doing their job, and they're not coming home. ever
mm.
again.
and their families.
They have to deal with that. And I
Like it's
also,
both sides.
but I also wonder, we have a lot of people who are from other countries that are working here. And I wonder how they're impacted and whether or not their infrastructure was really set for them to be able to manage crisis.
They
That
lost
has
the breadwinner.
hmm hmm right. And we don't we have to deal with that. I mean, it's really huge. And I wondered why we didn't have some sort of national Memorial Day for the lost, because people were there on their jobs. They weren't there partying and hanging out, and the equipment wasn't working. I mean, everything just went south. Everything went south.
And now the federal government is talking about they're not going to pay for the whole bridge. At least that's one
Oh,
news story that I heard.
That don't even make
hello,
sense.
how you doing?
Well, Biden needs to get his act together.
So who y'all like for president down there? What y'all think about Trump yesterday, Mike?
Oh, well, I think that this probably would do more than help him than anything else with his
Don't
base.
be so damn positive for the man. See, I believe that he gonna pay for what he has done in
Yes,
this life.
and he gonna do it in prison. And all
You,
those people who
He
are
gonna
not
pay for it in
wearing
this life.
red, all those people that are not wearing red, that man is gonna have to deal with that prison. And if he's depending on what kind of Jewish person or judge he's got, what's gonna really happen if he has to go to prison?
you, you remember what he said? He said that if he shot somebody, I think I'm a paraphrase it, shot
Yeah,
somebody,
he can get
that
away
he
with it.
would still be able to be elected. Well,
Well,
the same goes for that if he's convicted, he still will be elected.
no, no. See, you giving way too much power to the perception of white supremacy. Yesterday, for me, was a punch in the mouth of white supremacy. The perception of white supremacy. Because my mother told me ain't nobody better than me. Donnie, you ain't better than nobody, and ain't nobody better than you. So I don't buy into that whole perception of white supremacy, however white America is. I don't
Yeah,
care how
there's a
white
whole
it is. God don't like ugly and care less for beauty, including Donald Trump's ugly ass.
well, I think
Oh,
that
I'm
he's
sorry,
going to
can't
get
come
a
to the show.
he's going to get a reckoning that he had not expected. I
He
believe
wasn't
that.
expecting that yesterday. They punched him right in his mouth.
Big time.
All
Yeah.
counts, guilty on all counts.
All
That
All of
count.
to me, that tears at this perception that white people don't go to prison. For me,
Well, think about the psychological impact. This man on probation now. Well, he will be on probation. I don't think they'll
he
give
got
him
a
no
plea
jail
on.
time.
I,
So
I
that
think
means that he's
I
going to
think
have to
he's going to
check
leave the
in
country. I
with
think he's
those
going to leave.
people.
I think he's going to
That's
leave
going.
the country.
I'm sorry.
I think I think he's going to leave the country.
He
Donald Trump,
probably will.
I think he's going to leave. He's got property everywhere. I think he's going to get up and roll out. He's got planes. He has access to everything he wants. And he has a whole constituency of people who love the ground he walks on.
Mm.
Let them love him.
So,
Let them love him. But they are being exposed for the poor human beings that they are. Because anybody that loves that son of a gun, God bless you. Mother had you, and mother bless you.
I just hope Biden get a wake up call, because what they're saying related to the black community, he's just not being relatable. Although he's trying to do it now, late in the game,
but
but
I
he
think
got to get those black people out to vote.
Well, black
I
people helped put him in office, and he needs to understand he wouldn't be there if it weren't for black people. South Carolina, Georgia, there would be no Biden if it weren't for black people. And if anybody should understand it, he should. And he shouldn't say things like, "You're not black if you don't vote for me." Dude, you don't
Yeah.
have that kind of credibility. Your credit is like -20. Don't say that.
Biden doesn't care. He has some
He better
psychological
care.
issues, and I think that he has some mental issues that he's dealing with his being a senior. And some of the things that he says make absolutely no sense whatsoever. My hope is that we could find somebody who could actually run for the presidency, who should be sitting in that seat, that has the
We,
capacity to
we,
do what
we
we
never
need
get that.
done.
We don't
And
get that as in any position, do we? Do we
no, but
get
we
do
need
we
to
get a
change
person
it.
in there in any president, governor, senator? Do we ever get what we really want?
Mm-mm. No.
But we need to work on it.
DC showed us how it's done. They love Marion Barry.
But
The
I think we can't forget that whether it's Republican or Democrat, as a black people, we can make it through anything. And we have made it through anything, no
We made
matter
it through
who's in
Ronald
office.
Reagan and the
Yeah,
crack epidemic. Remember Ronald
exactly.
Reagan,
Oh
Colonel
my
Oliver
goodness.
North? That's when the whole crack
Oh
epidemic
Lord.
kicked off.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though this show is about mental health, how can we not talk about the political leadership of this country and its impact on our
All
mental
our
health?
mental
Exactly. That's a
yeah,
connection.
there's no leadership. There's no
Yeah.
leadership in this country. And quite frankly, I'm not really pleased with the local types of leadership. We've got
This
to really
this place, New Life Recovery, we deal with drugs, alcohol, and gambling. I just want to put it out there on a gambling tip because we do treat gambling. Do you know the number in Baltimore on the day that Ronald Reagan was elected?
it was probably very high.
Michael Randolph, do you remember what the number was on the day that Ronald Wilson Reagan was elected?
Was it 666?
You goddamn right.
Oh my goodness.
I can't
Yeah,
cut
Oh,
I
the
remember that.
demons. The demons. The demons.
3 6s.
The demons.
Hmm.
Wow. I forgot about that.
I did.
Yeah.
I said
That's
this,
good.
and next thing you know, come crack cocaine.
Mhm.
And Colonel Oliver North and the
Yeah.
Iran Contra, and he took the money from the crack and paid the Iranians all of that old silly stuff. Just after Jimmy Carter and the helicopter went down in the desert.
That was the beginning of the destruction of the black community when they
Amen.
started pumping those drugs in our neighborhoods.
Right.
Time out, buddy. Time
They've
out.
been doing that
You
for a
haven't
long
been to
time.
Santan in over 20 years. We got white addicts in my alley, brother.
I know, I know. I keep in contact with my folks there. So it's white people all over the place that didn't used to be there.
You start
That's
carrying
the
poison to poison somebody, it's bound to spill on you.
yeah.
One way or another. That's exactly right. But how do they get infiltrated into our communities with these drugs? How does it even begin?
They
Because of
did
a
it to the
black person
gang.
with low self-esteem who sell it.
They did it to the gangs. They gave the drug to the gangs in L.A. They what do you call it, on this consignment for free in order to do what they do. They gave it to them for free, and once the gang did it, well, it spread throughout the United States. But the repercussion is that now white people are impacted by it as well.
Well, that's exactly right. And with a lot of um, noise about it because they are so busy trying to get this money and change and remove. I really think that some of it is set up for us to be addicted so that they can take over our communities and our businesses.
Well, they sure sacrificed a lot of their own to win this one that they're losing because nobody wins in drug addiction.
Nobody.
If anybody's winning, it's the Chinese.
Yeah.
Let me explain what I mean. I know you all smart people, but we don't want to talk about this. First, I want to tell you, Afghanistan produces 90% of the dope. So they tell you we over there fighting for liberty, democracy, and freedom. That's
They're
some
getting those drugs.
bullshiggity. Bullshiggity.
That's
Number
right.
two, China kicks out 90% of the fentanyl in the world.
Yeah.
And Hong Kong just went back to China after being under British control for 150 years. Why?
Because
Of opium.
mhm. And
Opium.
it's
The
an
opium
industry.
war.
It's an
Yeah.
industry.
So
It's
it's
an
kind of
industry.
like the Chinese are ready for some payback. So they
Hmm.
don't care who they sell that dope to, because
Hmm.
they know that they were enslaved for 150 years in Hong Kong
Hmm.
because of opium, because somebody want to get high.
Well, and they were making stupid money on it, and people were dying with
Hand
tons
over
of money.
fist. Ain't that what they call
Yeah,
it?
yeah, and it's real serious. But here's also the other thing that we look at when people are unemployed or they lose their jobs, and you've got families that are going through a lot of psychological trauma, going through trauma, where we see shooting in our neighborhoods, and not just drugs, but just wars out on the street. How do we deal with that mental health issue? Because we've got young people that are being impacted on a daily basis. You can't in some neighborhoods you can't walk out the door without somebody shooting a
Did you hear
gun.
about Chicago over this Memorial Day weekend?
Mm-mm. Tell us.
The murder rate was through
Yeah.
the roof in Chicago.
Mm.
Shot a little girl. She shot the daddy. He's standing outside the car. Shot the little girl. She's inside the car. Chicago, Baltimore got issues. Chicago is much bigger and much badder.
And
Chicago is
Chicago,
off the map when it
it,
comes to violence. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not new. Chicago's have that well, since I was a little girl, and they have a war. The Blackstone Rangers and the rest of them are real serious. This is not new for them. Now it's just being on television and in the papers, and so it's now bold, But we live 90 miles from Chicago, and family that lived in Chicago in some of those projects. And I'm telling you, that was like living in a whole nother country.
What about
And
Florida, Mike? What are you seeing there violence wise?
When I first moved here, I think in 2001, violence and things of that nature was something that was in Baltimore. 2024, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. It is just as violent in Tampa now
mm,
than it is in Baltimore. We just recently had a 11-year-old and a 14-year-old killed. We had 8 people shot at one time. That's unheard of. So
what?
violence now is all over the place. And guess what? Even in the better part of Tampa, the so-called privileged communities are seeing violence in those neighborhoods as well. The genie is out the bag. It's all over now.
Mm. So if we're having wars like this happening all over our communities, how do we abate that? Now you've got police, you've got the what is it? The the what is the little organization of military personnel that are in the cities? What is it? I don't
Guardian
know.
angels.
No, these are supposed to be police departments, but they're community led. How do we get and bring together leadership in each one of these major cities that have large incidents of murders? We
You gotta pay. You gotta
somebody's
pay him.
fueling it, but they're fueling it. They're being
You pay him.
fueled.
You pay him. You
They're
hire
being
them.
paid.
You hire them instead of working for the drug dealers. You hire them to work for the city.
There are two key reasons why we have violence at this level. We like what you're talking about. We're picking up with this. Okay, thank you. There's two reasons why violence is so high in our community. One is mental health, and the second is substance abuse. If we dealt with those key elements,
Yes.
we would reduce the level of violence in our community.
Yes. But those drugs are coming in, they're dropping them off in helicopters, they're dropping them off out in the prairie, they're dropping them off in the urban environment, and they're coming in huge. They have factories where they're making all these drugs and sending them out. This is not
True,
new. It's not
that's
new.
true.
It is an operation, and it's an international operation. People are getting and bringing drugs in from all over the world. They're coming on ships. They're coming on helicopters, they're coming on planes, and they're coming in and they're bringing it in bulk. And nobody
Yes.
wants to talk about it because a whole bunch of people are getting paid off of it.
So the people just came over to me and say hi.
All
They
right.
white. And I was talking about them like a dog just now. But they say, how you doing?
You
What
weren't
can I
talking
say?
about white people. You were talking about people, bad people.
Yeah, I was, but nevertheless, I was talking about white people and the problems that they're causing. But the white person came over to me just now and gave me a thumbs up. So what can I say?
Because
The
they
truth
understand
needs
the
no
truth.
support.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. And color don't
It,
have nothing to do with it. You want to
it
hear the
don't.
truth.
You know, I used to complain to my daddy about white people as a kid. He said, son, the first one you need to be mad at are those greedy African kings who sold you over here. If in
Ooh,
fact we are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, because
ooh.
a lot of our history, even right there in Florida where you at, Mike, I don't know if you got my second book, but there's so much black history in Florida that we don't know nothing about. Juan Garrido, the first black to come here, who was a Spanish conquistador, was not enslaved. Chief John Horse, who led the first group of blacks from Florida on the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma to what became Black Wall Street. The Seminole Wars, which were the largest slave insurrections in American history. There's a place in Florida called Negro Fort.
FORT,
Look it up.
Negro Fort. And what does that do?
It helps us to understand that so much of our history has been told to us by people who don't know. And that if you really want to know, you need to do like I do and go do some research.
But you know what, Donnie? Even the people in Florida don't know the history. Only because I'm connected with you that I know the history and reading that book behind Florida and blacks. If you ask the average person in Florida that's black, they would not even know. That's why your books need to sell here in Florida, because even people in Florida don't know, blacks in particular. And I'm talking about elected officials on down. I've asked them all, did you know this? Did you know that? And they look at me in amazement.
But why is this history protected so
Because it's not their job to tell us our history. It's our
Yeah.
job to learn our history and share it with our children
and so how do we do that? How do we share
through
that with them?
shows like this.
Yes, exactly.
For instance, we are often, as black people, we shame each other if we say anything about our lineage that's not black. So let me start shaming them back. My granddaddy on my mama's side was Puerto Rican. My great grandmother on my father's side was a Blackfoot Indian. Do I deny them? Hell no.
You're not
So I
supposed
got
to.
some Puerto Rican blood and some Blackfoot Indian blood, and obviously some black blood. How about you?
Yeah.
I know I got some Indian in me. My grandma was just like she looked just like an Indian. And you know, sad thing about it here in Florida, I don't know how far, what is the case in other places, but when I put on a post one time about me being part Indian, you'll be surprised at the number of people that saw that as a negative.
They don't
Black
want to know
people, I
the
couldn't
truth.
believe this. Really?
They don't want to know the truth.
It
They
happened to
don't want to
me.
know the truth.
Why Donnie always talking about the Indians? Why Donnie don't want to be black? Shut up. You're missing the whole point.
Mhm.
Our history is more mixed than we realize. For instance, how do you know your ancestors came here in the bottom of a slave ship? How do you know your ancestors weren't already here? You don't know. You only know what somebody told you.
And it's real.
I got time.
That's
You
true.
can't tell.
Her
I'll tell
name,
you.
she just went home maybe a month in the past month. Her name was Dr. Helena Hicks. Now, she and I used to battle back and forth. That's how two Cancerians went. But she taught me something I will never forget. She said she had no history of slavery in her bloodline. She had
What?
traced her roots back, and her ancestors were free. Something we don't talk about. Something we don't talk about. We assume that all black people ancestors were slaves, enslaved. And she traced her roots back, and none of them were enslaved. How did they get here? I'm glad you asked that question. I want you to all look up Mansa Musa. Look
Mm.
up Mansa, Mansa, Musa, Musa. Now, what you'll find about Mansa Musa, besides being the richest king who ever lived, ever, Mansa Musa, out of Mali, West Africa, billionaire, back way back in the day, before back in the day was back in the day. But he left Africa and got on a ship and traveled west, traveled to over this way. So that was just one example of blacks from Africa who have been coming here. You can also look up Luzia, Luzia in Brazil. They found her bones, and the white scientists keep trying to say, they know she was black, but she was half black. Shut up. She was black, and she had a big forehead. They keep trying to change the story. Luzia, 14,000 years old. And then I'm gonna give you one last reference. And don't believe me, look it up for yourself. Where's the Grand Canyon? Arizona, Nevada, out that way. Grand Canyon. They found Kincaid's Cave in the Arizona, out there in the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Kincaid's Cave. And guess what they found inside of Kincaid's Cave? Egyptian
artifacts.
Egyptian. So when some idiot tries to come and tell you your history, say no, sir. That's you're missing a bunch of pieces. And what was going on in this country in 1300, in 1200, in 1100? We presume there was nothing going on until the white people came. And if you believe that, you're really dumb.
That's not true. And so you have to know your history. And are these conversations, are there books and curriculum in our school system that provide our young people with the type of knowledge that you're sharing today?
If we got a black governor, I'd like him to give me a black secretary of education. You know, remember Nancy Grasmick and all that, superintendent of schools. So somebody who can implement, infuse the curriculum of Maryland, a 30% black state, with some black facts, like the fact that Matthew Henson, a Marylander, was the first one to discover the North Pole. Shout out to Matthew Henson. We are getting together tonight at 6 p.m. over at Terra Cafe at 6 p.m. All Matthew Alexander Henson alumni are required to attend.
So are they related to Danny Henson?
He might be related to the Hensons. Taraji Henson is related to
the actress.
Yes, she is. Excuse me 1 second.
So now you're down in Florida, Michael?
Yeah, I'm in Tampa, Florida.
How did you?
What I do here, based on what I've learned from Baltimore, is work with those 4 neighborhoods and putting together holistic, comprehensive plans, specifically in poor neighborhoods of color, that teach them how to empower themselves through economic development and social development. So, and I'm proud of that because I know that one of the communities I'm working in, West Tampa, for example, there was a time that minority community didn't have as much power as it had until they started the West Tampa CDC, and they brought me in to put together a 5-year plan. Now, in that black community, you can't come in there as a developer and not come to the table and talk about what is the community benefit that the community gets. That's what I call empowerment. Most black communities don't have that structure set up where they actually control the process. That's one of the benefits here in West Tampa that the rest of the Florida is looking at. How does the black community empower itself to the point whereas when a developer comes, they have to come to them and talk about how they're going to serve the community. And one word is community mobilization and political connection. Those things will get you everywhere.
Hey, Michael, tell them good white people around you that one of my heroes is John Brown.
Well, they all ran away.
Oh,
When I start talking about it.
well, tell them we love John Brown, and John Brown is one of my heroes for life. You know who John Brown was?
From what I gathered from what you was talking about, that brother was an Indian or something like that.
No,
No, the white guy.
that was Chief John Horse. He was black,
Oh, okay.
Seminole.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I can. Okay.
They done put him out. We done got you put out.
In here, that's the problem.
Oh, okay. Let me
Yeah, they done put Michael out of the doctor's office. You over there talking about black history. Liberation! Freedom!
Oh well. I
Right.
guess I'm saying a little bit too much.
No, you're doing just what you're supposed to do. And they're going to have to walk away with that bit of information because they learned something, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. Because they got,
But you know they don't like learning. The dark side.
Oh, what?
The
You don't
dark
like
side. They don't
learning? Really?
Yep, they don't want to know about the dark side.
That's ignorance. And that's
If,
scary.
if it's up to them, Donnie, they will take you out because you got too much knowledge
They will
when it
try
comes to black people.
They will try, but I serve an awesome God.
no
And my
question.
God will
heard
put them in their sleep.
No question. Yeah, we
You better
don't
learn
even,
about
we
Haiti
don't
and
see
Toussaint
that.
Louverture and Henry Christophe and Jean-Jacques Dessalines. We got a powerful history. And we've come up against little, what do you call them, Marsha? Imps?
And they are.
Go
Running
away, little
around.
boy.
Right.
Go away, man.
Trying to infiltrate where they don't know how to infiltrate. They don't
And tell
even
them
know.
signifying worse than stealing, Mike. So tell them close their damn ears, stop minding somebody else's business.
Remember that signifying monkey conversation they had.
Yeah,
back
tell
in
them
the
about
day.
that. Sing the signifying monkey for 'em, Mike.
There's one way you can get those people to run away. Start talking about it, and they will leave. This was like full to capacity right now. And there's nobody here. They start leaving one by one, right?
They can't handle the truth.
No, they can't. It
They
is what it
can't
is, and I got no shame.
and you don't
You
need to.
can't handle the truth.
Right.
That's right.
And Donald
Period.
Trump is a traitor. He climbed that wall and he inspired them other people to climb that wall. He is a traitor and does not deserve to be president of anything. Not even the convicted felons unit.
Well,
But you know, at the end of the day, that goes to show how it's a lot of racism down here. Down here, it's
You
a
know,
lot of.
racism is
racism
really
everywhere.
self-hate. You're not mad at me because I'm black. You're mad at yourself because you feel low about yourself for whatever reason. What more? You got the money, you got the land, you got the power, and you still not happy. That's
And
mental
you
illness.
still try to identify with us and act like us and wear the clothes like us. And see, you got to wear the pants got hanging down. You got the thing and the hat in backwards, and you're always trying to steal what we do. Get out my face. Get out my face. Don't nobody want to hear you. You got the little slang. You got your little pants hanging down. You got your hat backwards. You got everything that you are doing. You are appropriating from Black people whom you generally cannot stand. And you see them sometimes they're on. I like that Dancing with the Stars or sing whatever they do. And you see them coming out on these programs and they got the hat backwards and they got trying to talk all hip and whatever. And I just want to, like call up somebody at the studio and say, we're the real Black people, come on.
Think about the history of music in this country.
Oh,
I was watching a documentary on Memphis, Tennessee,
yeah.
And it was called Stax Records. And really, it was a beautiful coming together of Black people and white people working together. And Otis Redding came right through Stax Record. I didn't know this history, but there were others outside of that circle who could not imagine Blacks and whites working together.
Right. because that's too much. That's too much for them. They can't handle that. And but they keep stealing. They keep stealing. They steal what we wear. They steal how we talk. They have used our the movements, the hand movements, the facial movements, the swaying. And when you sit down and you look at it, it's really comical. It's really comical. You hate us so much that you want to look like us and act like us.
And with all due respect, because I've never been in a tanning salon. If you hate black people, why you
Why are
going to
you
a
getting
tanning
us
salon?
on?
But look, let me show you how even in our court system, racism is now predominant. They just passed a law in Florida
Oh, they
where you
throwing
no
stuff
longer
at you
need.
like, what's that noise? They throwing stuff
Oh,
at you?
that's somebody on a truck somewhere.
Oh, don't
So
make me make a phone call, Shorty. I know where you at. I got you. I'll make a phone call.
I know that's right. So in Florida, you no longer need 12
Now that
jurors in order to
he gonna
convict.
he gonna jump on a plane.
Look, you can convict a person in Florida now with just 7 jurors as opposed to 12. I don't know if that's that way in Maryland, but in
Let's
Florida,
try.
now you only need 7 people to
So
convict
let's
you.
try it on George Zimmerman. I can't believe y'all ain't caught him by now.
Oh no, I can't believe it either, man. As much as these supposed to be hard people, gangsters, and everything like that, and they always do that on their raps and everything like that, but yet this man's still walking around.
Right.
How does that happen?
Man, I don't live in Florida because I don't like penitentiaries and nothing like that. But George Zimmerman, if I were to see him, oh baby, oh baby.
Ratchet, Florida.
Yeah, it is. And don't get me wrong, because there's a lot of good white people here in Florida and Tampa. It's just that, well, I'm not going to say the majority of good people, white people here in Florida. But you got that minority that tend to control all the laws and everything like that.
The
Now,
only
Tampa
thing,
City is a very progressive city. They
yeah,
even
all
got
of them
something
fancy
now
words.
called restitution for reparations that they got now to recognize what they've done. But that will never pass because once the governor hear about that, he's going to cut that. He's going to shut that down.
The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Yeah.
Who
So the
quoted that?
people over there on the sidelines, they are complicit.
Yeah.
With all of it.
It's like watching a rape and you did nothing, you're
Right.
guilty, you're complicit.
And people won't deal with that because that's you can't handle that truth because it
They're
is true.
complicit.
Yeah.
Them people that climb the walls of the Capitol, don't blame that on Donald Trump. You did that because that's what you chose to do. But he
Yeah.
is complicit because he's supposed to be the leader.
Mm-hmm. But he's leading people who already have hatred in their heart.
So do y'all think he's going to be elected based on the fact that he's been convicted of a crime? What's your feelings on that?
That's a $1 billion question. I sure as hell hope not.
Mhm. I think if
That
he
is the
thinks he can get
question.
away with it,
But
if
I tell
he
you what,
thinks he can get away with it, he's gonna do something about it.
the people who vote for him, black, white, and otherwise, you are telling your children it's okay to be that kind of a person. That's what you tell them. So I know you making money. Like I like Trump because I made money. Okay, but you're teaching your children
However,
and
Yeah.
grandchildren that this is okay. So when your grandchild smack the crap out you and take your money, don't say nothing.
When it comes to credibility, can you imagine what the rest of the world views us as? A convicted person
On
can still
us,
run for office?
they calling us the biggest dummies on planet Earth.
yeah, yeah,
That's what
clearly.
these people with no passport don't
We've
get.
we've
The rest of
allowed
the
it.
world hate
He allowed it. He's
True that.
supposed to have been in leadership, and he has not been a leader. And we give him pass as a nation when he
I
should
just,
have
I
his
just,
butt
I just,
in jail a long time ago.
I just want to put it out there. Who convicted him? Who found him? Who charged him?
A black man.
It was a black woman, I thought.
No, it was a black man. It's a black woman also, but she's in another state. Keep in mind, he got several criminal cases that's going on. But the black guy in New York was the one that
Okay.
convicted him. Now the white female, Willie, something like that,
And he came.
she's getting held. But she's going to get him convicted as well.
Yep.
So that was New York, and then he still got the case in Georgia.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. What about Florida? Because he's got all kinds of property and business down there too.
Let me tell you, they're gonna protect that man to the T here in Florida. And nothing's gonna happen to him in Florida.
It's gonna come to bite him in the butt. Those people that stand with him, let me tell you why. My mama said God don't like ugly.
Like ugly. Yeah.
Be ugly if you want. Challenge it and watch karma. Karma gonna hit him like a boomerang. Right in the back of the head. And when it hit, don't say nothing. When your grandchild smacked the puppy crap out of you, don't say nothing. I told you. Tell him Donnie told you.
Oh. Well, I think it's really interesting what his children must be thinking through this whole thing.
Oh no, they sick.
And then his wife is so
They
tough.
drink that Kool-Aid. I saw his son on television. I would be ashamed if that was my father.
I think his daughter.
I wouldn't be on nobody's television.
I think his daughter is on the opposite side of him. She used to be on the side of him, but she won't even come to court at all.
He got a sister that don't deal with him. His sister hate him.
Well,
Yeah, his sister too.
And his wife hates him.
Yeah.
She married him. I ain't giving her. She don't get no pass. She gets no pass. You talking about the hooker? Are you talking about the hooker? Good people said all of the mean things about Michelle Obama, and they bring a hooker in the White House.
Right. But that, they get the pass. They get the pass. They get the pass. And so you can pass go.
All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. But after you get cleaned up, stop pointing your fingers at other people. And if you can't help somebody, then just shut up. But don't go around trying to make rules for other people, and then you really messing up lives. What's that man down there in Florida, Rubio?
Oh man, the clown, yeah.
The clown. They should put him out of office and into a circus.
Right.
Well, he's already in the circus.
He's the person that cover my district, but from the Republican side of the table.
Just because you're Republican don't mean you got to be a clown.
Well, he is though. That's true.
Because you're a Democrat don't give you no pass.
True.
At all.
We got plenty of Democratic clowns in the state of Maryland.
No
I guess that's why I remain independent. When I first got to Tampa, I decided to be an independent, not Democrat or Republican, because either party is giving us really what we need.
You're right.
At all. None at all.
And they make it slick because they give you no power in the primary. That's how they make it slick. They give you no power as an independent in the primary. No power. You can't vote.
So one of the things that I don't really understand is why we as communities of people where we have elections in all over this country, city, state, regions, how do we not as people, as voters, sit down and really do an analysis of the people who are running to represent our interest in our states and cities and our nation? It's, it's like life theory.
We got to get involved beyond voting.
Yes.
We have to know who our city council person is, who our state senator is, who our delegates are. We got to understand when they have fundraisers that we need to go. And if it's no more than $10 or $20, we need to contribute. They need to see that we do contribute to their campaigns. We do volunteer for campaigns if you don't have money. We've got to get involved. It's more than, if you think that you can go vote on election day and that's it, that you don't even understand the game.
No, you've got to be actively involved, and you have to have conversations with these people who are running for office. And we can't, I'm so excited. In my district, I have a new city council person, and I am thrilled. But I have talked to that person for a long time, off and on, trying to make certain that that person could represent our interest in this neighborhood. But it took a lot to get us to that point because that other person had been there for forever. And I'm so grateful because it's important. The person who's representing your interest in your community is critical. Donnie, you're smirking. What is that? What's that little smirk on your face?
Not all of your candidates won.
This I know. This I know.
The general election is going to be an interesting one also.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're going to see. All I know is what I wanted to see for the city council. I'm grateful. So I can start there.
I want to say this about Brandon Scott that he gets no credit for.
What's that?
Fox News wore Brandon out about the squeegee kids. Squeegee kids did not start on his watch. What nobody has said is how he has gotten the squeegee kids off the streets. Yeah. Nobody said a damn word. Not a damn word. Nobody. Big up, Steve Brandon Scott.
Why did he do that?
Gave him a damn job.
What are the jobs that they have?
Anything but standing on the corner. Marion Barry did the same thing. Marion Barry, if there was no job, Marion Barry gave him a job, and their job was to go to summer school. Everybody who grew up under Marion Barry in D.C. only talks about they got their first job under Marion Barry. They never forget it. Never. And we need leaders like that we can look up to. See, Marion Barry came in, a lot of people don't even know his history. He was the jobs man. He was getting people jobs, literally getting people jobs. Right. So when he became mayor, it was already part of his arsenal.
Yeah.
See, those Republicans love Trump as much as those Democrats love God. When you think about it.
They love Trump because he addresses the low self-esteem nature of American politics, which is, I don't have nothing, but I'm white. So I'm better than you. That's like the white woman in my alley who's eating off the ground. And I say, hey, white lady, you can't do that back here. And she called me the effing N-word.
See, I think he's so popular because he believe in making America white again. It
was never white.
Right. Well, that's what. When I say white, I mean I'm telling you the power structure, the racism that used to prevail in this country.
It's not real power. They only think they have power because God can come through here with a tsunami and wipe this whole damn thing out.
He can.
Look at Asia. It happens all the time. These people have such a temporary, but we call ourselves a Christian nation. That's the scary part. We say we believe in God. We have no idea.
None whatsoever. And
our so high and peeps low. Look at Jeffrey Epstein. That show you what money, privilege, and power can do for you. When you have a hard spot, it can do nothing. Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire.
Yeah.
Found him hanging in a cell. That's how much power he got. None.
He couldn't handle it.
Or something happened.
Yeah.
Somebody put a necktie on him. But whatever the case, his money meant nothing. The words say, because this show is about life and re-life and rebirth. The words say, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness.
Yes. Period.
But we think, get them things, and then you get some peace of mind.
No. You've got to have that peace of the Lord, which is a whole conversation.
Johnny, quick one. Do you have the email to that guy from the Salvation Army that's doing work in Tampa? I mean, in in Sandtown. Do you have his email?
Of course I do.
Can you hit me with his email? Because definitely I want to share with him what we're doing here in West Tampa and how that can be used in Sandtown to change the whole narrative when it comes to dollars coming into Sandtown.
I'm not sure which one in particular you're talking about. You're talking about
This
John
is
Davis?
I got Mama. He was on your show.
I believe
Davis was it Davis? The
John
Davis?
Davis. Yeah,
Yeah, him. I
no
was
problem.
really inspired the way he was talking. So I definitely want to connect with him, but I need his email just to send him some information related to what works, not only in Tampa, but from around the nation that can be applied to Sandtown. Because
John.
Sandtown, when you think about it, is a gold mine, people don't know about it. See, they think Sandtown because it's negative, it's a negative. But if you're a white person, when you see a negative, you see the positive. And flip that coin like that.
All right. So let's just go around the horn. Marsha, any final thoughts for the day? Any thoughts on mental health as we go into the weekend? Any suggestions on how we stay sane one more day?
I think that one of the biggest issues, acknowledge that you have a problem and know that there are people out there to help you and not be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Too often we sit down, and myself included, you go through something and it knocks you off your feet, but you can recover, and you need to have that recovery in an environment that is helpful. And
And the
try to,
team.
I'm sorry?
And the team.
Yes. It's people to support you that can surround you. And trust me, life ain't always easy for everybody. We hold it and cover it. I've had problems, and I've had to work my way through it and see a doctor to talk me through it. And that's real. Going through all these different divorces and all that other foolishness, and that's real. And it's ugly, and you got to deal with all that. And you sit down and say, Lord, how did I get here? But you get through it. And that's the piece. You keep yourself prayed up and make certain that you take the time and acknowledge that it's okay to go see somebody and get some help. I know I did it. And if I need to do it again, I will do it again.
Same
Okay?
here.
So don't take this lightly. Don't take this lightly. Life ain't easy. It ain't easy. But you don't have to have it so hard that you can't deal. Just be straight up. And you got two people. I got my brother here saying the same thing. So, all this stuff and all that mess we talk and we rip and we run and we do all that. But we tell the truth to each other and to our doctors. And you need to do the same.
Marsha, I want to thank you for inspiring me to give up Newports.
Yeah. Did you know I cold turkey? Oh, okay. And that's a good thing.
Michael, you used to smoke cools. You still smoke cools?
No, I don't. I stopped smoking in 2011. In 2014, I got cancer and they had to take part of my lung out. But had I not stopped smoking in 2011, when I was in that hospital, I saw people that had part of their lung out and they were still trying to sneak smoke.
Wow.
So to God be the glory. So yeah, I used to smoke cool, but I stopped. But on mental health, the only thing I can say is that keep the faith. No matter how dark it is, it's darker in somebody else's location. And if God can bring them to the
Yes.
light, He can
Yes.
bring you to the light as well.
That's,
Never give up. But this
that's,
know, God knows, and God
that's,
not going to bring you all the way here to take you out.
that's right. He ain't gonna let you down. Thank you so
I
much.
want to thank both of you for joining
Thank
me.
you.
I don't know what they got out there, but I know I got me some food to make it one more day. And that's all any of us have is one day at a time. Michael, thank you for being
Thank
transparent
you.
and sharing your story and reminding us because we all battle with depression. We all
Oh, yeah.
battle with all of these things, but we, like Marsha said, we don't want to acknowledge it or talk about it. And the last thing I say is, if your therapist don't have a therapist, get a new therapist.
Okay.
No question. Right.
A
That
great
right
show.
there.
Thank you, Danny.
Take
I
care.
love you
Thanks,
both.
everyone. Have a good. Love you, brother. All
Good
right. Have a
afternoon.
good one.
Good afternoon. Marsha, I want you to stick around because I'm going to fix something for you. Hold tight. Don't go nowhere.
Okay. Okay.